It's spooky season! Whoop whoop! Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa and today I'm talking about my October TBR, which is very ambitious. I decided to give myself a larger TBR this month just to kind of give myself options. I don't think I'm actually going to read all these. To be fair, today is the 4th of October and by the time you're watching this, I've probably finished one book. So that's pretty good. I think I have like 11 or 12 books on this list. So we better get started. I'm going to quickly run through these because I'm tired. Real quickly, the first book I'm going to hopefully be finishing is Wings of Shadow by Nicki Preto. Hopefully, next time you'll see this is in a wrap-up and I've finished it. So the bonus about this TBR is a lot of these books are like super short, which helps tremendously. Speaking of short books, the first one that I am nearly finished with is Small Spaces by Kathrine Arden. It's very shiny. This is a library copy. I apologize if I blind you. This is the story about Ollie, who has had a lot of tragic things happen in her past, and she's kind of just kept to herself and closed off, which makes her an avid reader now, and she loves books. And one day she goes to the creek and sees this very distraught woman holding a book over the creek, about to toss it in. So she snatches said book and runs. This book is very dark, very creepy, and talks about an old farm. Guess what? Her school goes on a field trip to a farm. This book is creepy so far, I will say that. This is middle grade and I'm already freaked out. Mainly because this has scarecrows in it, and I hate scarecrows so much. We had one across the street because our neighbor has like a tiny farm across from us, and they had a scarecrow like looking into our front window, and I'm just like, put that away. This is very creepy, very atmospheric. It is very short, so that helps, but I'm a little concerned that it's almost too short, but I think it's still going to wrap up pretty nicely. Kathrine Arden wrote The Bear and the Nightingale, so I'm very curious to see how her middle grade stuff plays out. So far, so good. So, reading that. The next one I have is called The Unseen. This is a bind-up, I believe, of the first 2 books, maybe the first 2 parts. The font is huge and the pages are short, so that does help a lot. I believe the first one's called It Begins, and then the other part is like Rest in Peace. I definitely at least want to try to read the first part. It's like 200 something pages or something. And this is by Richie Tankersley Cusick. I'm saying that 5 times fast. This is about Lucy, who is convinced someone has been following her, and being spooked, she runs into a cemetery to hide, and she finds a dug hole to hide in, like an open grave. Turns out there's someone else in there. I don't know if this person is alive, dead, whatever. But then a mystery unfolds. And it sounds really spooky, really interesting. This is definitely an older young adult book. So obviously it may not read quite like I'm used to, but I'm still excited. It sounds intriguing. I'm curious as to like who this person is. So next I have like a wild card. I don't know if this is actually going to be spooky or if it's going to be like more romance heavy. I've heard a lot about this book of being very spooky and being very atmospheric, and that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is about a lady who marries a widower, and when she moves into his giant mansion, she starts being haunted by the ghost of his dead wife, or the present, or like the memory or presence or something. And it's up to her to figure out what happened to this woman. It sounds kind of like a murder mystery, maybe a ghost story in there. I don't know. I've heard a lot of people say it's really good, so I'm intrigued. And it's not too terribly long, but it's also like maybe a little older writing. I'm not entirely sure, but again, like, I'm intrigued. Gonna read it, hopefully. Now, these next 2, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to get to. They're kind of just added on as like, if you're feeling this, read this, you know, like the Happy and You Know It song, but it's like, if you're feeling like this book, then read that book. I am so sorry. And that is The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek by Rhett, McLaughlin, and Neal, who are the stars of Good Mythical Morning. I love that show. My daughter loves that show. I love them. Also really love their sense of humor. So I feel like this is going to be right up my alley. I know this takes place in the 90s, and these 2 best friends whose names are very similar to Rhett and Link. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. I just know Rhett and Link wrote it. I also know that it is a bit spookier. It's great for fall, it takes place around them. I think they're trying to be in the film festival. They're looking into some strange string of accidents. I'm not entirely sure, but I bought it because I love them and I am still very intrigued. So I have this one. Next up I have The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. This is a fantasy spooky book. This is about a girl who is like a grave digger, and one day I think a mysterious boy shows up. So our main character is a family of grave diggers, and they kind of, you know, obviously dig graves, but they also guard this like really spooky cemetery where sometimes the dead don't stay dead, and it's her job to keep them in check and dig their holes. This sounds really intriguing. I've had this thing for forever. It matches my shirt. I mean, yes. But I'm incredibly interested to see what this is all about. Again, it's kind of short, so it shouldn't take me too terribly long. But yeah, I have this. This might be a good one for like a little 24-hour reading. Who knows? So the next one I have is Censor by Junji Ito. As you've seen from my wrap-up, I'm sure, I've become obsessed with Junji Ito. This is one of his newer ones. I think this came out in 2019. And this is a sci-fi horror about a girl who was found on like the edge of the woods. No one knows who she is or where she's from, and bad things start to happen, and there may or may not be aliens. I saw this at the bookstore. This is gorgeous. First the cover drew me in, then the description. But look at this, hold on. Hold on. Are you kidding me? What? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is all appropriate, so might be a little scary, so I'm not going to show the whole thing. I have this, and I'm going to read it this month. It's very, very short, so that is a plus. It's always a bonus when things are short. Even the end pages are stunning. Like, yes, yes. And so the last of the physical books I have here is Night Film by Marisha Pessl. I have had this on my shelves, on my TBR, for like 5-6 years. Yep, I have been so intrigued with this one since I heard about it, since I bought it, and I saw it in the bargain rack at Barnes & Noble long time ago, and I purchased it. It's so shiny. So I believe this is like a murder mystery whodunit kind of thing about a guy who used to do horror movies, and either he got murdered or someone on his staff got murdered, and our main character is trying to figure out what happened. Again, like, I'm kind of trying to go into this not knowing a whole lot. It has pictures, it has like emails and, you know, documents and stuff. There's apparently an app that goes with this book, which has me very intrigued. So I'm really excited to read this one. This is like my main priority because, again, I've had it for so long. And I really want to read it because I have been wanting to put it on an October TBR for years. But every time I do an October TBR, I'm already like in the middle of like 3 books. So it's time. So I'm also listening to this audiobook, which is Before the Devil Breaks You. This is the 3rd book in the Diviners series. It's really following closely to Theta, who is my favorite character, and I'm really excited to read it. It's so good so far. And then lastly, I have Teeth in the Mist, which is a haunted house book following multiple points of views and different timelines and stuff, about a girl who's trying to figure out a history of this old house. And you also get the history of the old house through a different point of view from an earlier time. Should be interesting. I don't own it, and I'm gonna try and get it from my library, or maybe even listen to it on audiobook if I can find it. Why have I done this to myself? Oh no. I don't know why I bother doing this anymore, because it never goes well. Here's my TBR, minus the 2 I don't have, and Wings of Shadows. Let me know down below what you're reading this month, and what spooky book you're most excited for. Subscribe if you haven't. We have a good time. And give this video a thumbs up if you would like. Totes up to you. I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye-bye.